Shortly after its massive launch, Marvel Rivals hit a peak player count of 650,000 on Steam alone. But since then, its active player count has dropped 77%, and honestly, it's not surprising.
There it is. I knew this was too good to be true.
Losing players is inevitable for any game, but the specific reasons still matter, and strike one for Marvel Rivals is the matchmaking system. In theory, matchmaking works just like it does in other PvP multiplayer games. Unfortunately, matchmaking systems are hard to get right, and many players aren't happy with the one in Marvel Rivals. Particularly since Season 2 began, players feel like the matchmaking system is deciding winners and losers before the game even begins.
Double the failure! Double the fun!
One frustrated Redditor wrote, "Something truly went wrong with the matchmaker in Season 2. Games are 80% stomps one way or the other, and it's streaky as hell. No one likes feeling as though they've been set up to lose every match they have enough free time to play. The ranking system also isn't helping. Players have frequently complained about how many points are required to rank up, and when Season 2 came with a ranking reset, some couldn't take it. One Redditor complained, "It feels like my effort and commitment to improving in Season 1 didn't pay off, and I have to do it all over again." The reset was presumably meant to give players another few months of climbing up the ranks, but the move just didn't sit right with some of them. Another problem for Marvel Rivals is just players being awful. Yes, obviously competition can often bring out the worst in people.
Knocked you out! Eat it!
Anyone who spent any amount of time playing online shooters knows that gamers tend to let their inner aggression out on their fellow teammates in the chat. The typical Marvel Rivals game is leagues away from an Xbox Live Party circa 2010, but still, more and more people have started complaining about the prevalence of toxic players. Most of the trouble right now mirrors an issue that all hero or role-based shooters games run into. A well-balanced team needs multiple roles working together, but players tend to have strong preferences. Recently, there's been a sharp divide between strategists and duelist players, neither of which seems to value the role of the other plays. The feud became intense enough that a significant amount of strategists went on strike and stopped playing their roles. Season 2 brought some gameplay tweaks that have also pushed players into new strategies that parts of the community don't appreciate. The current dive meta emphasizes attacking the opposing team's support players as quickly as possible. The support role is arguably one of the most important and easily the least popular roles in the game, so the fact that support players are taking the brunt of the assault in a match is causing serious tension. Combine the toxic discussion around roles with an aggressive, frustrating meta and a matchmaking system that often predetermines winners and losers, and you've got a recipe for disaster.
Everything's falling apart.
Seriously though, while Marvel Rivals may have lost a ton of its daily active players, it honestly shouldn't be cause for concern. We've already talked about how the player counts tend to ebb and flow for live service games on a regular basis. The life cycle of these games usually follows a simple pattern. Initial hype boosts a game to a peak. Some players lose interest while the core player base locks in. And then every new season sees an initial influx of players checking out the new content. Just a handful of months into its existence, Marvel Rivals is already settling into the typical routine. Fans of the game don't need to panic about the dwindling player count because we've seen this before. Helldivers 2 lost a full 90% of its players, and that game is still chugging along and widely considered a success. A study of gaming habits suggested that 40% of Overwatch 2 players were lost to Marvel Rivals, and no one expects Blizzard's game to vanish anytime soon.
Yeah. See your point.
Still though, developers shouldn't just ignore this drop in player count. There are always going to be specific issues that cause some players to leave sooner than they otherwise might have. NetEase can't control when Bethesda or another studio drops an exciting game, but they can stay on top of the complaints people have about Marvel Rivals and make sure the experience is as good as possible for the core fans who aren't going to leave anytime soon.